Hi friends, Lainey here on a Friday, and I am checking in on my writing journey with you. And I wanted to let you know a little bit about what I've been working on. This week was a little slow. Last week I skipped. I didn't do much of anything, but my brain's always working on things. So my update isn't super exciting, especially considering I missed last week. What I've been working on is just some fun. One of the things that I have in my possession is a Victorian slang book that has phrases and things like that from Victorian times. And I really like going through the book and finding fun words and terms that can really help me set the tone and create that atmosphere of an older, less modern time. I think when I wrote my first paragraph for the opening of my book, one of the things that I realized is that there was no way or little way at that point to tell just from the words I was using that this is set in an older time. And that's really what I want it to feel like. I want it to be the wooden wagon with the wooden wheels and horse-drawn implements and carts and dirt roads and thatched roofs and things along those lines. And I need to make sure that words that I'm using reflects that older time. And so going back into some older terminology, I think might help me a little bit. So the word that I had the most fun with this week and I played with, and I even created a character or two characters technically off of, was the word Grumbletonian. And that was a fun find just because I thought it was a really fun word in the first place. It's basically a term that means somebody who grumbles a lot or complains a lot. And the moment I read that word, I felt, wow, I really want to do something with this word. I want there to be someone who is a Grumbletonian. Of course, that means I have to create a character that's a Grumbletonian. And that it was just a really fun way to just create a random character. I don't think it's going to mean a main character. It might be somebody that we see throughout the stories. And so what I played with, and I had a fun conversation with a friend of mine who brainstormed with me a little bit, was I came up with essentially two friends, and they're old men, and they're not drunkards, but they do hang out in the local pub. The one friend is the happy guy who just loves people, and he likes to sit by the door and greet everybody as they come and go from the pub. And then he has a friend who he hangs out with at the pub who sits with him, but he's a grump. So he is the grumbler, he is the complainer. And my friend came up with this fun idea to call him Grum. And I really loved that. And so I'm going to integrate that into my book. So you'll see Grum, and I decided that the kind old man, or the friendly old man who is not the grump, his name is going to be Maurice, and there'll be a special spelling because I like creating names that don't really fit into our current world. So there'll be a special spelling of the name Maurice. But Maurice and Grum will be making their way into my story, and you'll see them hanging out in the local pub. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that, but it was a really fun thing that happened when I was just playing with words, and also just mentioning without any more specifics. That was just a fun little specific story. I've been adding to my dictionary as I've been finding words in this Victorian slang book, or just finding interesting words that I want to include that might help me set back in time the story and that feel of this older times. I need to figure out what that is. And then, like I said, the slang that I'm looking at is Victorian slang, but I need to figure out, I'm not sure if this is like 1500s-ish, but that might also help me. Ooh, note to self, I need to do some research of kind of what time I'm thinking about. Not because this is not a historical thing. It's not going to be based on any period of history, but there might be a period of history that I feel like this setting kind of lends itself to. I'll also mention that I went to an author event this past weekend, and that really sparked a lot of fun ideas for if I ever do author events myself in the future for promotion and kind of knick-knacky things and some of the posters that the authors had and how that all works. So even though that wasn't a writing advancement, it's an advancement in my journey on authoring. And so that was just a really fun evolution to start thinking about those sort of things. And one of the things that I haven't officially put in there, but there is a character that I have that is going to have a weakness for some sort of treat. And I thought after going to this author event, I thought it would be really fun to have those treats available. So some sort of candy that would be available in an older time, not chocolate, even though I would love it to be chocolate, not chocolate though, because the character is going to keep it in their somewhere in their pocket in their clothing, and I don't want it to be melty and gross. So that is going to be a fun evolution. So I'm researching candy right now to figure out what would make sense, and also something that I would like so that when I have it on my author event table, I don't hate it, and I would like to try some here and there, and so would other people. So that is a fun thing that happened from going to an author event. So that's another part of my journey. But that's about all I have for today, so I will let you go. Thank you so much for joining, as always, in my writing journey. I appreciate you following along, and I will see you next time. Bye.